Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And if you're a true General Hospital fan, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get started with today's video. General Hospital, GH, spoilers and updates for Monday, July 20th, show that Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens-Bruning, drops a bombshell, Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove gets cornered, and Willow Kane, Caitlin McMullen, adopts a fresh strategy. It's another busy day in Port Charles, so let's go over all the drama that fans should be prepared for. General Hospital teasers on July 20th say that Lulu will pay a visit to Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, and reveal a huge bombshell. During the Monday preview video, Lulu tells her former father-in-law, Jason didn't shoot director Cullum on the pier that night. Obviously, Lulu will tell a shocked Sonny that Jason took the fall to protect his grandson, Rocco Falconeri Finn Carr, from shooting Ross Cullum, Andrew Hawks. Will the mob leader ever be able to repay Jason for his enormous sacrifice? At the Quartermaine stables, Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, appears to be asking Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott, for a favor. Tracy is shown in Monday's program, asking, "What's the catch?" Someone will require Tracy's assistance, and it appears that Cody may request to borrow some horses in order to reclaim James West's, Gary James Fuller, affections. But will this be effective? The boys seem dissatisfied with Cody right now. In an unusual twist, Cody's gal pal, Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos, will also need a favor and will contact Port Charles Mayor Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis. Is this regarding Jen Sidwell's Carol Rhoda case? Will Molly abandon her book tour to lead the case of the century? Speaking of Sidwell, General Hospital spoilers for the July 20th episode indicate that his crony, Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove, will be taken to the PCPD. The trailer depicts Detective Joe Fitzpatrick, Jonathan Bennett, saying, "You don't have anything to hide, right?" Despite saving Joe's life, it appears that Ezra will have to deal with the consequences of attempting to assist Sidwell in his escape. Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watros, appears in the General Hospital ad for Monday. She's in a room and calls Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, a disgusting pig. The twosome had quite the lip lock during the Friday, July 17th episode. So what's this about? Does Brennan make an inappropriate remark that turns Nina off? Furthermore, Willow will have an unpleasant discovery, so will she catch her mother and Brennan in some sort of act? Or is this something else? Willow, who is known for being disagreeable, will approach Harrison Chase from a new perspective. Willow will ask her ex-husband if he wants to visit Washington, D.C. in the episode airing Monday. I am with her. Talk about inappropriate. Finally, General Hospital spoilers for July 20th reveal that Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, will be traumatized by something, while Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, digs his heels in. Is this referring to Brennan's black case in her kitchen? Carly may be concerned that it contains a bomb or something similar, but Valentine appears to reassure her that the black case could lead to bigger things. According to General Hospital teasers, Monday's episode will be filled with crazy and tense scenes, so fans will have to tune in to catch all of the action. The air in the crowded halls of General Hospital on Monday bore an uncommon tension, the kind that suggested huge changes in the lives of Port Charles people. Lulu Spencer had spent the whole of the morning pacing her living room, her thoughts racing with the weight of secrets she could no longer keep. After years of navigating the chaos of her family's legacy, the Spencers were nothing if not drama magnets. She'd had enough. The bombshell she was about to blow was no ordinary discovery. It had the potential to shatter alliances, expose betrayals, and push everyone around her to confront truths they'd rather ignore. Lulu had always been fiery, impulsive, and fiercely protective of the people she loved. Her recent return to Port Charles was marked by difficult reconciliations, particularly with her daughter Charlotte, and a problematic relationship with Dante Falconeri. But behind the surface, something darker was boiling. It involved a long-hidden relationship to the hospital's power conflicts, which was directly linked to the clandestine dealings of select board members and investors. As she grasped the manila envelope with the documentation she'd diligently acquired, Lulu said to herself, "It's time." She walked straight to the hospital, her steps resonating with purpose. Meanwhile, in a poorly lit conference room on the executive floor, Ezra was surrounded, Literally. Ezra, a smooth operator who had just inserted himself into the hospital's administrative circles as a consultant with connections to outside financing sources, wiped sweat from his brow. He was not used to being on defense. His immaculate suits and controlled charisma had proven effective in managing both business and people. However, today the walls were closing in. Financial improprieties had begun to appear, with allegations of monies being drained for personal gain, favors being swapped under the table, and connections to persons whose influence extended far beyond medicine. Ezra's phone rang with messages from worried colleagues, but he turned it off, focusing instead on the man gazing him down across the polished oak table. "You think you can just walk away from this?" the investigator asked, shoving a folder toward him. Inside were transaction records with suspiciously similar timestamps to hospital budget shortages. Ezra's cornering was not an accident. It was the consequence of quiet inquiry that had gathered pace. He leaned back, faking a smirk, but his eyes showed his anxiety. "This is all circumstantial. You have no evidence linking me to anything illegal." But even as he spoke, the noose tightened. Little did he know that Lulu's upcoming birth would be the ultimate blow. Across town, Willow Tate was creating a new path through her own chaotic world. Willow had seen more than her fair share of heartbreak, adoptive family secrets, the loss of her biological origins, and tumultuous custody fights for her son Wiley. Her marriage to Michael Corinthos had been a source of stability at times, but recent pressures, such as rumors of infidelity and corporate takeovers at Yelku, had made her reconsider her course. Today, she sat in a quiet cafe, sipping a cappuccino and reading notes on her laptop. Her new angle was both personal and strategic. Willow had decided to use her nursing skills and connections at General Hospital to fight for a patient support program that also served as a means of exposing systemic faults, which happened to intersect with Ezra's domain. She scribbled furiously, drafting suggestions that would require board approval, knowing she would be at conflict with some powerful characters. Willow's shift from a starry-eyed idealist to a woman determined to play the long game was obvious. Her chats with Nina Reeves had sowed seeds of ambition, and she saw a chance to protect her family while gaining independence. "No more waiting for others to fix things," she said, pointing to a piece on hospital financial transparency. She had no idea how her new project would intersect with the impending upheaval. Lulu stormed through the hospital doors, claiming the attention of the nurses at the station. She saw Dante approaching the elevators and gave him a short nod, but there was no time for conversation. "I need to speak with the board chair immediately. It's urgent." Dante, realizing the gravity, did not resist. He led her upstairs, his investigative instincts kicking in. The elevator trip was hushed, full of unsaid questions. Lulu's heart beat. This bombshell involved not only Ezra, but also threads from her own family's past, such as her mother's legacy and years of buried medical records. Lulu focused on Ezra as she entered the conference room. His face lost its color. "Lulu, what are you doing here?" he stammered, rising halfway out of his seat. The investigator looked between them, curious. Lulu slammed the envelope down on the table without saying anything. "I'm here because it's time everyone knew the truth about the missing funds, the forged approvals, and your little side deals with external donors, who aren't who they claim to be." Gasps echoed as she spread out the documents, emails, bank statements, and witness affidavits she'd compiled with the assistance of an old Spencer Network contact. Ezra's cornering increased. He tried to deflect, his voice rising. "This is ridiculous. You're a reporter with an agenda, nothing more." But Lulu persisted. "An agenda to protect this hospital from parasites like you. These records show transfers routed through shell accounts right after you joined the advisory board. And don't think I haven't connected it to the pressure on certain patients' cases that benefited your associates." The room was filled with murmurs. Although security was contacted discreetly, the harm had already been done. Ezra sank back, realizing that his carefully created facade was disintegrating. His abandoned phone flared up with incoming calls from anxious partners who felt the oncoming consequences. Willow received a text message from a coworker as word of the confrontation spread like wildfire across the hospital. "Board meeting is becoming chaotic. Lulu Spencer just dropped something massive on Ezra." Willow's pulse sped. This was her opportunity to shift. She gathered her proposal materials and dashed over, her mind already adjusting her new approach to integrate the latest news. If Ezra was exposed, it would open the door to actual reform, which she could lead. Willow arrived on the scene and positioned herself as the voice of reason, offering to mediate while gently promoting her agenda. "The patients deserve better than this toxicity," she stated during a brief hallway meeting with board members. Her elegance impressed several influential persons, elevating her status from Michael's wife to a forceful campaigner in her own right. The afternoon progressed in layers of discoveries. Lulu's revelation went beyond dollars. It revealed a medical cover-up from years before involving experimental medicines that Ezra's network had promoted for profit. Patients such as those in the oncology wing had become unwitting puppets, with their data falsified. Dante grabbed Lulu aside later, his concern palpable. "You could have come to me first. This puts a target on your back." Lulu shook her head. "Some things you handle head-on. The Spencers don't hide anymore." Their chat hinted at rekindling sparks, but duty called. Dante needed to follow up on the legal implications. Ezra, meantime, was led to a private office for questioning. Cornered does not begin to express it. Lawyers were summoned, but evidence accumulated. He mumbled threats under his breath, but his influence was waning. External investors became aware of the situation, resulting in a series of withdrawals and inquiries. The hospital administrator sighed a sigh of relief mingled with dread. Clearing up this mess would take months. Despite the chaos, possibilities arose. Lulu had anticipated for a silver lining in funding reallocations that would target underfunded departments. Willow's new approach took momentum quickly. She delivered her idea in an informal session, focusing on community supervision and ethical requirements. "With everything coming to light today, we can't afford half measures," she said. Board members, alarmed by Lulu's revelations, nodded in agreement. Willow's empathy, honed through her own difficulties with loss and identity, was palpable. She spoke on assisting families dealing with chronic illnesses, reflecting on her own experiences with Wiley and her birth mother's difficult background. Internally, she planned alliances, perhaps with Carly, or a careful approach to Sunny's network for protection if necessary. Her transformation was complete. Softness persisted, but steel supported it. By evening, the hospital corridors were buzzing with speculation. Nurses murmured in break rooms, and doctors exchanged glances during rounds. Lulu sat in the chapel, contemplating the day's events. The bombshell was cathartic, but it took a toll. She remembered her children and the security she sought amidst the Spencer curse of constant upheaval. A text from Charlotte offered a slight smile. Normalcy was possible if she fought for it. Ezra's cornering resulted in a formal suspension pending an investigation. He strode out, briefcase in hand, threatening vengeance, but his steps lacked conviction. The man who had once navigated shadows now found himself completely lit and exposed. His associates quickly removed themselves, leaving him isolated. In a peaceful time in his automobile, he dialed a last call, only to hear the line go dead. The empire he had constructed by lies was crumbling. Willow felt a burst of empowerment as she wrapped up her meetings. Her new perspective was more than simply professional, it was personal liberty. Dinner with Michael that night would require cautious navigation. He'd learn about the day's drama soon enough. But she was ready. Their relationship, strained by secrets and external forces, could develop or deteriorate more. But Willow refused to be sidelined. She went over her notes one last time, adding a section on whistleblower protections inspired by Lulu's bravery. As night descended over Port Charles, the intertwined lives of these ladies and the deceased executive created a tableau of survival. Lulu's bombshell had shattered Ezra's complacency, forcing him to face the consequences. Willow's new perspective promised regeneration, a new chapter in which advocacy met ambition. The hospital, which has long served as a background for love, grief, and intrigue, braced for the aftermath. Alliances would shift, old wounds would reignite, and new alliances would emerge. In true General Hospital form, no secret remained hidden forever, and every turn revealed another twist. The fallout spread. Family dinners transformed into strategy discussions. Dante and Lulu had a late-night coffee and discussed the evidence and what it meant for future investigations. "You were incredible today," he conceded, his hand brushing across hers. The chemistry persisted, complicated by co-parenting and previous hurts, but compelling. Lulu gave herself a moment of vulnerability. "I did it for the right reasons, but it scares me how far this goes." Ezra, holed up in a drab motel on the outskirts, considered his choices. Lawyers suggested damage management, but he felt trapped in his corner. Calls to powerful friends resulted in courteous deflections. His once promising career in healthcare consultancy was now on the verge of a crisis. He was haunted by memories of his early days, when he was ambitious and possibly even driven before greed seized control. Redemption appeared remote, if conceivable at all. Willow's idea drew early support. She met with hospital staff volunteers to discuss training initiatives and patient advocacy groups. Her new angle stressed holistic therapy, including mental health support and medical treatment, relying on her personal experience with adoption discoveries and relational turmoil. Colleagues praised, seeing her as a liaison between administration and frontline workers. Michael exhibited both joy and caution after knowing the details. "Just watch your back. These people play dirty." Willow smiled resolutely. "So do I, when it mattered." Deeper depths surfaced in interactions across Port Charles. Maxie Jones, ever the gossip conduit, cobbled together details for a possible crimson feature, ethically, of course. Nina offered Willow subtle guidance, identifying a kindred spirit in managing power situations. Even Sonny Corinthos weighed in indirectly, offering his resources if threats were made against Lulu or Willow. The web of links emphasized the show's recurring theme. In Port Charles, everyone was family, whether by blood, love, or shared secrets. Hours turned into detailed confrontations. Lulu answered follow-up questions from authorities, reiterating her conclusions with precision. Documents exposed Ezra's participation in approving problematic vendor contracts, which increased expenditures while reducing patient services. One particularly damaging email chain connected him to a pharmaceutical representative promoting unapproved experiments. The bombshell's full magnitude endangered licenses and reputations beyond the hospital's gates. Willow, balancing her shift, consoled a concerned family in the pediatric ward. Her new perspective emerged in real time, lobbying for longer visitation hours and additional resources. The contrast with Ezra's self-serving behavior emphasized her integrity. By the conclusion of the shift, she had obtained preliminary permission for a pilot program, a win forged out of turmoil. Ezra's isolation worsened. A former colleague paid a brief visit, offering sympathy but little aid. "You went too far, man." Alone, he considered his next move, possibly relocation or a desperate counternarrative. But the proof was unquestionable, thanks to Lulu's thoroughness. The clock ticked past midnight, and reflections prevailed. Lulu tucked Charlotte in, promising a better tomorrow. Willow kissed Wiley goodnight, hoping for a lasting legacy of constructive transformation. The day had been significant, a microcosm of General Hospital's dramatic heart, bombshells that release, corners that humble, and fresh perspectives that inspire. The plot progressed, with romance, vengeance, and redemption all possible outcomes. Lulu and Dante's tentative reconciliation gained traction, with conversations becoming personal amid professional accomplishments. Willow and Michael discussed co-parenting intricacies, and her independence deepened their bond. Ezra, confined but not vanquished, plotted in the shadows, laying the groundwork for future conflicts. In the end, the Monday update exemplified resilience. Port Charles persevered, its citizens growing stronger, wiser, and more engrossed in the hospital's timeless story. The bombshell resonated, the corner tightened, and the new aspect revealed paths forward, promising weeks of exciting events. Monday's drama in Port Charles is expected to result in significant emotional ramifications as secrets, ambitions, and personal loyalties intersect in unexpected ways. Several people face difficult decisions, while others learn that the truth might be more dangerous than any falsehood. A surprising revelation threatens to alter the dynamic between longtime friends and family members. One character has been carrying important information for a long time, feeling that remaining silent was the best way to protect everyone concerned. However, situations are beginning to spiral out of control, and being silent may no longer be an option. The decision to speak up could send shockwaves through the community, irreparably altering countless ties. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise over a contentious public figure who has managed to dodge punishment for far too long. Questions are being raised, and people who have been suspicious are beginning to connect the links. Political maneuvering and hidden intentions are coming to light, leaving this individual increasingly isolated. The walls are starting to close in as allies become harder to recruit and opponents become more daring. Meanwhile, another resident is looking for a new method after prior plans failed to produce the desired outcomes. Determined not to give up, this guy starts thinking a completely other method. While the new approach appears promising on the surface, it also has hazards that could lead to additional issues. Every decision in Port Charles has consequences, and changing directions frequently results in unforeseen effects. Family remains at the heart of many current conflicts. Parents are fighting to safeguard their children while also dealing with unsolved issues from the past. Some are compelled to confront traumatic experiences they would prefer forget, while others recognize that old wounds never fully heal. The emotional load of previous mistakes continues to influence current decisions. Romantic connections are also being tested. Trust, once damaged, is difficult to recover, and numerous couples are at a crossroads. Misunderstandings, hidden agendas, and outside influences threaten to tear apart people who once thought their love could withstand anything. Some may choose forgiveness, while others may conclude that going forward separately is the only option available. Friendships are also under threat. Longtime confidants are beginning to distrust one another's intentions, particularly as secrets emerge. In a place where information can be used as a strong weapon, selecting who to trust is becoming increasingly difficult. Alliances may alter quickly as characters seek to protect themselves and those they care about the most. At the hospital, professional responsibilities are still intertwined with personal drama. Despite the emotional turbulence around them, doctors and staff workers are attempting to remain focused on their tasks. Emergencies and unforeseen developments remind us that life may change in an instant. The hospital continues to be both a place of healing and a setting for highly emotional conflicts. A especially shocking debate may pave the way for future clashes. After seeing the rising chaos, a character who had previously remained on the sidelines decides to take action. This decision could expose concealed facts and force others to answer unpleasant questions. Sometimes the most important changes start with a single conversation.